long years ago from University of Science and Technology of Tehran. My major was actually electronics engineering. And then I have some experience in design, electronics design. And when I came to Canada about 20 years ago, I started to work on software. So I have both experiences in hardware and software design. I had a lot of ideas and tried to bring them to the market, but I couldn't. I designed some ideas as a MVP, but it was a gap. It was I don't know, the market research or going into the market problem. So I'm very happy to be here to get the benefits from the group. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Rahman. I know that you have worked on many ideas, and I wonder to know if you are interested in having a presentation, a 15-20 presentation on one of your ideas in the next meeting.
Yeah, sure.
Well, thank you very much. So I will put it in the agenda, next meeting agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for presentation. Dear Dr. Mahdi, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Mahdi Pirmoradian. I graduated in electronic engineering. I've got my PhD degree in computer science. So I migrated to Canada in 2015 and just involved in industry field. So my experience is more or less in electronic and computer science and IoT technology. So I've been with Dr. Dariush from 2019, as far as I remember. Yep.
Yeah, and as I told you, we have already started a startup, and in our startup, we are working with Mahdi at the moment.
Yeah, actually, right now we work on a startup project.
Yeah, I have been very lucky, which I found Mahdi and collaborate with him. Thanks,
it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. Amir, could you please talk?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Amir R&D, and I'm a graduate from Emission University of Technology in electrical engineering, control systems. And my PhD and MBA are both from Multimedia University. My PhD is in strategic management for technology companies. I came to Canada like 10 years. This is the 10th anniversary, actually. It's the 10th year I'm here. And I'm teaching as a part-time professor at Yorkville University. I also have some teaching sessions at Sheridan College, Hanston College. I'm CEO and founder of Art-in-Tech company. Some of you might have heard of Art-in-Tech. We are mainly developing technologies for supply chain and operations. And I'm glad to have this session. I've been in touch with Dariush since maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, when he was starting a couple of new community centers, and I'm happy to see that those activities have led to successful initiatives. Well, what is good about these kind of communities is that we can take ideas, create synergy, and take them to market. In Art-in-Tech, we are looking for ideas. So this could be a good platform for collaboration for us too. And we have been successfully taking some of the ideas from scratch to the market. So if an idea is, or a research idea is related to our activities, I would be gladly looking forward to sitting together, even virtually, and discussing the ideas and see if we can be of any help.
Thanks, Amir. Dr. Amir, I know that you are full of idea and you are a very active person in developing these new ideas. Your company is fantastic company. Are you interested to have a pitch for us, 15-20 minutes about the? So maybe you have done lots of market research based on your role in your company. Would you like to have a market research talk for us in the next meetings?
Absolutely, I'll be glad to.
Okay, thank you.
That's going to be my honor.
So, thank you. So we will arrange together.
Sure.
Thank you for your presentation. The next person is Mr. Ashkan. Mr. Ashkan, are you here?
Yes. Hello to all. And I'm Ashkan from Tehran. And my is in power engineering. And I work more than 12 years in designing of power plants and utility. And nowadays I'm working on sustainability, green buildings, and green project management. And I'm very glad I'm here, and I think we can find the roots in market research for the maybe in.
Thanks, Ashkan. Your voice was a little bit broken. That was not your fault because of the internet in Iran. So it's very big. And but Mr. Ashkan is our great instructor in the green building courses, and he has had, I think, 3 or 4 sections in a lead exam preparation online course, and all the students have been very happy and successful in getting their certificate, their lead certificate. Thanks, Ashkan. Okay, so Dr. Azam, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone again. I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Dariush from maybe 2020, March 2020, almost a year. I have PhD in AI and machine learning, so I can do almost whatever with AI and machine learning. So if you bring the ideas, I can develop, and I can show how to apply machine learning and AI and that. So it's like you can look at the AI and machine learning as a tool that can be applied in a wide range of areas. So I'm excited again to be here, to get involved in your ideas, in your startup projects and everything, because I recently moved to Canada and I'm trying to set up my career again, this time in Canada, because I was in Iran and then I moved to South Korea and now here. So, and for today, especially, I'm so excited to hear from Dr. Kazem, I guess, if I'm right, about the grants, because without the financial support, we cannot do anything. So if you have the idea, if I add the spice of the AI and machine learning, then eventually with the enough financial resources, some time and other resources, money and everything, we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So welcome to Canada, Dr. Azam.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Nice
so
to
excited to
see
see. Yeah, I'm so excited to see you here.
Yeah, waiting for the corona goes away, you know.
Yeah, and also I'm very excited for seeing all of you, especially Dr. Behzad Mushiri. He has been my mentor since I arrived in Canada, and he initiated this idea of creating the research teams, R&D teams. But unfortunately, we missed him because he had some great responsibilities in Iran, University of Tehran. So he had moved to Tehran, but we are hoping that he comes back to us and helps us to develop this team. So Dr. Moshiri, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Do you hear me, Dariush?
Yes.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be with you and other colleagues here. As you mentioned, this sort of gathering has been initiated when we wanted to have some professional Iranian, actually, society or gathering in Toronto. First of all, we started probably, it was a story of 7 years or 8 years ago. However, as you mentioned, just as in the introduction, I was graduated from Iran University of Science and Technology in 1984, and then I moved to Manchester in UK and finished master and PhD control systems engineering. So it was 1992 that I returned back to Iran, and then I just was there. Then in 2005, I landed.
Your voice is... Dr. Moshiri, your voice was kind of disconnected.
Now it's good?
Yeah,
Can you
good
hear?
now. Yeah. Yes. I cannot hear anything. I can't hear. So anybody can hear? I can't hear anything.
No, I cannot hear either, Rajesh.
Dr. Moshiri, can you hear us? Dr. Moshiri, can you hear us? We missed your speeches. Sorry. Could you please repeat again? So we missed most of your sentences.
Oh, sure. Now I changed the internet. I am using now my mobile net. Is that clear now?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. Sorry, I was telling you that when I graduated from Manchester in 1992, when I got my PhD also in the control systems engineering, I joined the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Tehran. And then in 2005, when I landed in Toronto, after a couple of months, I started to have collaboration with University of Waterloo and University of Toronto. So my collaboration with University of Waterloo was very fruitful because I had supervised some PhD and master students jointly with other colleagues at University of Waterloo, specifically concentrating on the intelligent transportation systems and the application of the new concept called sensor data fusion. So I use that as one of the intelligent decision making over there. And then for 1 year, 2009 and 2010, between that, I was in my sabbatical leave at the University of Toronto at ITS lab, which is now also located in the Department of Civil Engineering. So it was quite a broad experience on the ITS over there. And then since 2014, I am adjunct professor at University of Waterloo, and I taught a course called Intelligent Sensors and Wireless Sensing Networks, and again, focusing on the sensor and data fusion. I will be very happy to carry on the ideas that we might have actually a good chance to set up a startup and work in this field and getting the hard data from transportation of the Ministry of Transportation at Ontario, which some of my students have got the information from. However, the idea of education and research is very good, specifically in R&D, and I know that Dariush has commitment to go ahead and to go, and I'm very happy that again we started to initiate this gathering And with these potentials, I hope that we can develop a startup. And then as Mrs. Dr. Rabi, if I say correctly, she insisted on the financial support. So I hope for the next meetings, a bit we can clarify on this point. So I don't want to take too much time now, and then we return back if it is necessary.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nushiri. So I will be more in touch with you too. So to foster this team and so form some other startup teams with your help. We actually need your help. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Dr. Martin, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Matin Parvari. I have chemical engineering background, and I'm working in chemical industries for more than 20 years in Middle East, mostly in Iran and also in Qatar. And right now I'm in Canada. I'm based in Southwestern Ontario in Sarnia. And right now I am manager of engineering department at Rally Engineering. In the past 2-3 years, we has started to work with many startups who are working in the chemical industries and who are developing the new chemicals. We are trying to help them to develop their idea from lab scale to commercial scale. Actually, we are most focused on the developing side, in the development side of the ideas in the chemical industries. As the other folks mentioned, yes, the most important challenges for the startup companies, as I can see in the companies that I'm working with them, is funding. And specifically when they have the proper fund at the research stage and the lab scale stage, they need to provide the proper feasibility study to show the feasibility of their idea to the different sources to be able to get the proper funds. That is the most important challenges, specifically in the chemical industries, depending on the industry and the idea. Sometimes they need to have lots of money to be able to develop their companies. For that reason, I can see that some of the big companies like, for example, Shell, Suncor, ExxonMobil, they are investing on some ideas and the green idea or green chemistry right now. But anyway, I will be more than happy to work with the folks here. And if somebody has the chemical background, I will be happy to work with them. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Martin. I saw Dr. Martin, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. He had a fantastic seminar for us about the Sarnia and Sarnia plants. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that you can have very good webinars for us about the companies and research funds, and we will arrange together. Thank you, Dr. Martin, for joining us again.
Thanks.
Another very important person, VIP person, is Dr. Masjid, my wife. I asked her to introduce herself. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. Hello all. It's my pleasure to have an opportunity working with you and sharing our experience. I have a PhD from the University of Melbourne in chemical and biomolecular engineering. And I have a teaching experience at Humber College. Currently, I'm working as a quality assurance manager in cosmetic industries in Toronto. And I'm interested in research. That's why I'm here. I hope we can develop some new ideas and finally we can commercialize them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mohammed, could you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dr. Darwish, and hi all. Assalamu alaikum. I'm very excited to be here in this group. My background is I'm a foreign trade industrial engineer. I'm a worker, and I finished my master's from Ryerson University in mechanical and industrial engineering. I'm registered in Untitled course supply chain management. and my major area was supply chain, and my project was during my master's supplier selections and order allocations. I'm here to learn and contribute my experience and learn artificial intelligence and machine learning, how to be integrated in supply chain, especially in turbulence situations in COVID-19 turbulence, how the machine learning and artificial intelligence can make the system optimize. So I'm here to learn. And thank you, Dervish, and thank you all to give me an opportunity to be a part of this group.
Thanks, Mohammed. I'm pretty sure that you have very high talented and hardworking communities. I think you are from Pakistani community, and I wonder if you join, if you talk about our team to your friends in your community and ask them to join us. That will be very valuable for us to have your talented person in this group as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Masood, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everybody. This is a great honor for me to be among this community. Actually, as I'm listening, I see that all of you are well educated, very professional in your fields. Well, I got my MBA in 2017, and currently I'm studying management of technology and innovation at University of Tehran. I've worked in different fields, especially fintechs, or currently I'm working in oil industry. I'm very interested in digital technologies and effects and impacts of digital technologies in different industries. That's why currently I'm working on how digital technologies can change drilling operation in oil industry. So I'm submitting my proposal, PhD proposal in this field. I'm very interested in the field of big data analytics, so that's why I'm learning about this, and I'm getting some expertise in this field, and I'm sure that data science and data analytics will rule the world in near future, and it is actually ruling the world. So I would like to know how to use this tool. And as I like to have businesses, I'm actually a founder of a small business in education industry. Actually, it's a small startup that is operating in Iran, teaching English and IELTS and things like this. And about the group, I would like to say that I'm sure this capacity in this group is very high. So just maybe focusing on one startup or one idea would not be enough. And I suggest that this group can actually has this potential to be I can say, startup factory. It can produce different types of startups. Each of you actually are capable of starting a startup. So knowing about the differences, the similarities, I don't know, the things that we have in common can help us to have some ideas which can be commercialized. So I think we cannot, it's not enough to focus only on one idea. So we can do greater jobs. That's it.
Thank you. Definitely, we will work on different ideas and try to make different groups. Thank you, Masood. Dr. Freydon, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello. So, how are you? I'm Freydon. I'm a research scientist at Stanley College, and my area of expertise is mechanical and mechatronics engineering. So I have a PhD from the University of Ontario, Ontario Tech University, the new name, and I'm now currently working at Fleming College in Peterborough. So nice to meet you guys all here, and I would be happy to help with any of the initiatives happening or starting from this group.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Freydon. I think that I didn't ask Dr. Kazem to introduce himself because he's supposed to have a presentation. If I have not missed anybody, so we can ask him to introduce himself and so give us his presentation. Dr. Kazem, are you ready? I can't hear you. So you are not on mute, but we can't hear you. Anybody can hear Dr. Kazem? No, maybe
We don't
something's
have
on
his voice.
your microphone. Check your microphone. No sound. There is no sound. There is no sound. So after Dr. Kazem's meeting, we have some more time. So if everybody wants to talk in more detail what you are doing, so we will have time. Dr. Kazem is disconnected. In the meantime, so you guys, are you so okay to have more collaboration with us in organizing these meetings or informing some startup teams, having presentation?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Dr. Kazem, we can hear you now.
Sorry, I was restarting the application. Hello, everyone. I'm Kazem Shahidi, and especially thank you, Dr. Parvari. You were I was your student back in 2004, I think, in Iran University of Science and Technology, mass and heat balance or mass transfer course. So I am a chemical engineering PhD from Laval University, and I am now working in Montico Ltd as an R&D manager. Montico is a strategic investment firm, especially through startups and like building sustainable companies. Deliver them for big investment or to the industry. Yeah, I'm going to introduce some programs for funding in Canada. Is it possible for me to share my screen?
Yes, sure.
So, can you my screen now?
We can see it. Yes.
Yes. So what we are going to talk, I have only 15 minutes, so I'm...
No, you have at least 20 minutes, don't worry.
20 minutes? Okay. So we're talking about the fundings from, as you can see on the top of this page, funding through the government and especially Canada, and we're talking about NRC. Because the reason that I put this here is because there are some fundings, non-governmental fundings, and there are also some fundings out of Canada, not from the Canadian government, from for Canadian companies, but other governments like US, like European countries. So that's why I want to emphasize that the information that provided here is is only the fundings only through the governmental programs and from the Canadian government and NRC. So, so I would like to start from here. As you can see, this is canada.ca website. If you go through the departments and agency, if you click on that, you will find subsidiaries of the Canadian government, like Agri-Food Canada, like the other, like Ocean, like the other different departments in Canadian government. So when we say NRC, it means, so NRC is a National Resource Canada, is one of the agencies of the Canadian government. So I think we had another seminar before presented by Dr. About NSERC, National Natural Science and Engineering Research Canada. So today we're talking about NRC. So when you go, so there are other funding programs in the other agencies, for example, Agri-Food Canada or CRA or the other Canadian agencies. You can find the same procedure for applying through the fundings, but again, we focus on NRC. Natural Resource Canada. So now we know that. So I was talking about NRC. So there are three main categories of funding. First of all is the programs in NRC. Secondly is some fundings through the labs that are working with NRC. So it's owned by NRC. And then third is the partnership. So there are some other, for example, provincial programs that they have partnership with NRC, that those partnerships, I mean the NRC with the other provincial government, they provide some partnerships fundings, or the company itself can do a partnership with NRC, and then there is another fund. So most of the time, the funding through programs and labs are provided, the whole fundings provided by NRC without any specific eligibility of the partnership, but the funds through the partnership is a kind of match and go. It means, for example, if NRC pay 50% of the cost of that project, the company itself should also pay the other 50%, or it can be 60-40. So the partnership here means the partnership between NRC and other agency, or the partnership between NRC and the company who is doing the project itself. So these are the main three categories of funding through NRC. Any question?
Excuse me, are these funds actually given to the projects or companies? I mean, should we have should we define some projects for them to get these funds, or we should be a company or something?
So, so for example, for the partnerships, you don't need you need to be a company, an operated company, to get the funds from the NRC. But for example, like for the labs, you need to find a university professor or a college lecturer professor. Then you both can jointly get this funding. So the professor can provide the students or the lab equipment or a space, and you can own the project and get this funding. But the programs, individuals cannot apply through the programs. So individuals, they need to submit a company like incorporated or corporated, and then they apply. So a research, an individual research cannot apply through the programs. So you need to, but for example, some programs, you need to have your company, your incorporated company should have a history, for example, minimum 2 years or 1 year or 5 years, or the company should have a experience on those kind of projects that you're applying. But some programs, they don't have any requirement of the company history. It means that you can register the company today and tomorrow you can apply for that program. So, but in terms of individual person, one person with a SIN number, it's not possible to apply through these programs because of some tax issues or some information that they need through these forms and registrations. They need those kind of codes and responsibilities because when you register a company, you have a responsibility section of responsibilities. So no, individual cannot apply through this, but there are some ways that you can submit, you can register a company, and then immediately you can apply the program. Does that answer your question?
Sure, thank you.
Dr. Kazem, as we know, there is a mandate in NSERT grants that the industrial partners and academia has to collaborate with each other. In NRC, it seems that there is no mandate for collaboration between academia and industrial partners. But you have mentioned 3 categories of NRC here. So I think, I don't know if I'm right or not. You told that in programs, so it's given to just in companies, the partner industrial companies. The labs is given to the collaboration between academia and industries. And partnership, I don't remember. Am I right in this explanation?
Actually, even in the programs, there are some programs that need a partnership from universities or the companies. But you can find some programs that, for example, one company can apply by itself. No need to have a partnership from university, or no need to have a partnership from an investors, like a match and go, like 50-50 or 60-40. But most of the time, the fundings through labs and partnership, they need a university collaborator or another company collaborator or investment.
For example, in IRAP, do we need to have a university collaborator or college collaborator?
No, you don't. For example, here is DTC or IRAMP. It's not mandatory to have, so for example, some programs, they mention that eligibility, there is one item in eligibility that you have to have a collaborator from university or investment. But in IRAM, they haven't mentioned it as a mandatory.
Okay, so for example, in IRAP, do we need to have a partner? So if you are an industrial company, do we need to have a partner to apply for IRAP or SDBTC?
It depends. It depends on which category you are applying. So what we are talking about is the overview of NRC. So I didn't go back to like the other countries and non-government. I just focus on NRC. But today it's very long discussion. If you want to focus, like for example, if you want to focus on RAB or STTC, it takes 20 minutes. So, but for today, like overall introduction to NRC. So there are exemptions, like again, like IRAMP, if there are some categories that you can apply without partnership.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I have another question.
Yeah, can you ask a question?
Yes, please.
The categories that you said as a 1, 2, 3 programs, labs, and partnership, I went to the link that you mentioned in the programs, for example. In the page, how can I find the categories that you said as a ABC, IFID? I couldn't find the, the words like something that you mentioned.
Exactly. Even you cannot find the categorized like programs, labs, or partnership in the NRC website. This is the way I categorize it. To present it in an easier way, and like most of the time, because their eligibility are in the same field, so that's why I categorize it in this way. But they didn't mention, so it's like when you go through we will go through the website together now, but you will find that you will find why I categorize like that,
Okay.
And then you will find out why I put A, B, C here. So let's go through the website and talk about this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So as I said before, you go to Canada.ca and then you go to the different department and agencies. One of them is NRC. So there are other agencies that you can apply fundings, like Agri-Canada, like NSERC, like even some other agencies talking about energy, fuels. But today we are focusing on NRC. Let me drop this down. Okay. When you go down, so here you can directly go on the bottom of this page, you can directly go to funding, grants, and incentives. Here, the link below. But if you directly go there, you will miss a lot of information in between, because this link directly go to the funding opportunities. So I prefer we go through that through this science and data. So in this science and data, you can find the different programs, centers, labs, and partnership. So if you go to science and data, you will find funding partnerships and science and research center and labs. So again, if you go to science and research, you will see some like energy research here, material research here, and some, for example, national hazard research. If you go through funding and partnership, you will find funding opportunities and partnership opportunities. And then if you go to funding opportunities, you will find funding, grants, and incentives. So you will see that in the first page, you can directly go to funding, grants, and incentives. But when you go through science and data, then you will find the partnership programs and other programs. So let's start with the programs. Most of the funding through programs is you can find here, funding, grants, and incentives, which you had already the link directly in the first page of NSERC. So in the funding opportunities here, funding, grants, and incentives, you can find the open programs and called. These are the programs that are already called and they are now open to receive proposals. The second one is the current investment. These are the projects that already invested and they don't have NDAs, so they share their information here. In this section, you will find the current programs and initiatives. So these programs, you can find, for example, green clean growth in natural resource sector programs or energy innovation program. Some of these programs was already, like for example, many years ago, it was launched and then received some proposals, provided fundings, and then closed, and now they are going to be launched in near future. For example, or some of them, it has never been launched. For example, Clean Growth in Natural Resource program, this was already launched in 2017, but they are going to relaunch it again very soon. That's why they put this in this category, in the category of current programs. It's not opened yet, but they are going to open it in near future. Or for example, Energy Innovation Program, they mentioned that it's going to be launched in 2021. So these are not ready yet, but they are going to. So why they categorize this way? Because the companies have a chance to look at the near future programs and they can prepare themselves for those fundings. For example, if they want to register something, or they want to prepare a prototype, or they want to collaborate with the university and then prepare a submission application package for this program. Because most of the time when they call for proposal, it's only 15 days or 1 month that you have time, the companies have time. So in 1 month, you may not be able to find any university collaborators. So that's why they put this category. Then the companies, the researchers, they have time to find their collaborators, or if they want to prepare something. The last one here is the programs that already launched and they don't have plan to launch it in near future. For example, oil and gas clean tech programs. It's already launched and they don't have plan to launch it again in near future. There are other funding programs through task savings or some specific partnership that there are very specific fundings.
Excuse me, Dr. Kazem. Yeah, are these CGP and GI fundings partnership type? So I mean that so these are just a program, okay, yeah. So it means that only one company can apply, that the company doesn't need to have any partners.
Okay, so so IFIT and Emission Reduction Fund, it is now active for proposal. So if you go to active for proposal, you will find, for example, IFIT, you can find some fundings opportunity for conceptual studies. So for example, IFIT is funding for the studies, but some fundings are, for example, are for the companies that already operated and they want to develop something, or they want to reduce the emissions here. So for example, IFIT is a program to conduct some research on the wood products. So it doesn't mean, for example, so sometimes it's a little bit confusing, like when they mention wood products or forest products, it doesn't mean that you need to, a company, your idea should not be specifically for the forest. So your idea can be, for example, a wastewater treatment in a pulp and paper, or your idea can be, for example, a composite polymers using the wood material inside. For example, if you have a coupling agent in a polymer composite, you can also apply and you may be eligible for this fund because you have impact on the forest products. So it is very tricky to know exactly which programs you can be eligible for. And as I said, these programs, they don't mention that you can, if you click on each program, if you click on eligibility, or they mention who is eligible for this funding, So you can find, for example, you can find the details here. So sometimes they mention specifically that you need a partnership, but sometimes they mention you just need to be for-profit company or non-profit company to apply through this fund. It depends, and each of these fundings, they have a coordinator, and that coordinator, program coordinator in NRC, they have the authority to change even some of these eligibilities. If you provide a letter, an explanation letter, that why, for even some programs, they need a university partnership, but you can provide a letter to that coordinator and you mention why I don't need a university collaborator. For example, I have Dr. XYZ in my company, and those are already qualified enough to run this project, for example. And then that coordinator those coordinators, they have this authority to give it to a committee, and then they exceptionally accept your proposal. Sorry, you get your, am I reply your question?
Yes, thank you. Excuse me, could you please share the links you have in your presentation in the chat box?
I will send this. I will send this to you after the meeting, to everybody. And then after, like, through the programs, there are some, as I showed, there are some programs that are already called and they are active. There are some programs like EIP, CGP, they are going to be called in near future. There are other programs that you cannot find even in both. I call it others here. So if you go through the investment, you will see the investment category here we talked about. So you will see that you will see, so we found EIP, CGP, but you will see some other fundings that you won't be able to find specifically in those areas. So those fundings, you need to contact NRC to find the information for that. So some of them are related to labs, for example. Some of them are related specifically for a university. So you need to contact the coordinator, the specific coordinator in NRC to find the information. But where you can find those information here from the investment that they already did, you will find some, if you click on each project, you will find, for example, the information of that project. And if you see that your idea is close to this funding, then you can contact the NRC and ask for this specific program.
Sorry, are these current investments the investments which are not yet actually given to anybody? Any grants are not given, or they have been given to some people or some companies? Because you said that if we think that these are the grants that we can, for example, be close to them so we can apply for them. Do we have the opportunity to apply for these or not?
No, these are this investment already given by NRC to that company or lab or university. So these are already, so you can find this is only for information. You cannot apply.
Yes.
This is not a project. This is already a contract between University of Toronto and NRC. So they just share this information. But the reason that I'm telling you this is these are the example for some programs here. that you cannot find the information in the active programs. So they are they are still, so some of them like oil and gas clean technology, OGCT, this is finished. They don't have plan to consider any proposal for this category. But for example, green infrastructure, you won't be able to see this program in the program list, and you won't be able to see this in the dead programs. So you need to contact first of all, you can find, for example, which companies already contracted here, and because there is no information for you to see if you are eligible for this program. So what you can do, you can see, for example, which companies already got this funding, and then go through that and then see if you may be eligible for that program. If you see that you are eligible, then contact NRC and then get more information about eligibility, about how you can apply, and blah blah. So
this is just this just gives us some kind of experience to know how the projects are given and who can apply for these.
Exactly. And some, let's call it hidden programs, like green infrastructure is a kind of hidden program. You won't be able, for example, you won't be able to see green infrastructure in active programs and dead programs. So these are, and the amount sometimes are huge, as you can see.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
So some other fundings are directly organized by the subsidiary labs NRC. So Science and Data Research Center. So if we go back to the website, Science and Data. So here we went through the funding and partnerships. Now we go through research centers and labs. So you can see, for example, CalMet Energy is a subsidiary of NSERC. They have their own funding programs, which they didn't mention in the website. So you need to contact them directly. So if you can go through the research centers here, for example, CalMet, and if you see their research areas is close to your idea, then you can directly contact them and see if there are some funding opportunities for you or not. The other way to find more labs here is the science and research, and then some energy research. So for example, you will find sorry, I lose the science data, science and research. Science and data, science and research. So for the investment, so for the labs, the fundings through the labs, you can find those labs, research and centers funding. But one item that I forget to mention for the programs is that you can find, when I said there are some hidden programs, you can find some, like you can go through the investment history and find some information there. The other way to get more information is go through the research topic that they mentioned in their website. For example, if you go to science and research and then energy research, you will find that, for example, there are some research categories that they mention here. So when I ask, for example, when we had some chats with the coordinators that why you guys don't mention these fundings through your website, they direct us here and they said, yes, we mentioned about this activity here in our, for example, research and science information, but it's not a specific program, but you can find, for example, housing innovation. They didn't mention that there is a funding opportunity here, but when they mention that they have a research area, it means that they may provide some funding for that. So when you are looking for funding opportunity, do not go and find a specific program for your idea. As long as there is a research category and research area in NSERC, they may have a program to fund your idea. So when you have, for example, when you see, for example, there is a research area in NRC talking about net zero energy housing, or talking about low solar and high solar gain, then there is an opportunity in NSERC to provide you the fund. Did you get the idea? Did you understand what I mean here? So two ways here, two ways to find out the funding opportunities, because there are lots of competition in A and B, because this program's already launched, advertised, everybody knows all the companies. So you can see, like, for example, CGP 750, they received 750 application in 2017, and only 50 got they received the funding. But here, C, there are other opportunities in category C, but because they didn't advertise the program, that's why you will have more chance to get those fundings. But how you can get information? Two ways. One way is you go to investment and see if there is another company before applied for that. The other way, when you go to these research areas of NSERC, and then if you find there is, if they talk about this research activities there, then there may be a funding opportunity. And funding through labs, you need to contact the lab directly. And so first of all, go to the lab, go to, for example, Kahneman lab, the research ideas. And then most of the time, they don't mention that they have the funding opportunity. But you need to contact them again to see if your idea is funded or not. The last one is the partnership. I don't know what I have time or no, but the place that you can get remember when we go to funding and opportunities, instead of going to funding opportunities, you need to go to partner opportunities. Here you find some, you can find information about SDTC and IRAP that we talk about. So when you go through these two, then you will find more information. So I think we don't have too much time, so maybe we can explain this later.
Thanks to Dr. Qasim for the presentation. If you like, so we can have a webinar. So anytime we can talk in more detail about any of these fundings. As far as I know, the IRAP is very popular. So maybe the other ones, I don't know. So if you are interested, so I wonder if you can have a webinar for us, arrange it together. To have a 1 hour webinar to go in more detail in 1 or 2 of these different fundings, so to see what is the eligibility criteria, so how much is the contribution, should be the contribution of companies, so and other conditions, so how to apply and other things. Are you happy to have this webinar?
Yeah, I can do if there is a, as I said, you know, because of time, like if we specifically want to talk, I haven't experienced with all of them, and I wasn't be like involved in all the procedure. As I said, I'm working in an investment firm, and for example, I take care of the technical sections. But for example, you know, when you want to submit a proposal for IRAP, there is a financial, there is a scheduling, there is a technical sections. So I wasn't involved in all of them, but I can provide the topics and then I can go through the technical sections, you know, if that helps the other researchers.
Yeah, you have time if you could help. So give us also a favor to prepare some slides. So about whatever of these funding categories you like. So you can prepare some slides and then we can arrange a public webinar to have more people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, just one very short question. Kazem, thank you for your nice presentation. Do you have any idea of the acceptance rate for the projects which are competitive? You know, you said that some of the companies, some of the projects or the fundings are for those that, you know, there is competition between companies. So do you know any acceptance rates for these fundings?
The acceptance rate for some of the programs like SDTC is very high, but because the companies, like there are some other companies that help the companies to submit SDTC. So that's why the acceptance rate is high, because the like Shred, for example, there are some companies that they submit, they are expert in Shred submission, so they know how to submit it. So for SDTC, again, the same. There are some companies that provide consultancy how to file SDTC grant. Yes. Because that's why it's high. But some other fundings, like the small programs coming time to time, like CGP, IEP, like every 3 years, they're called for proposals. The acceptance rate is low because the budget is low. The people applying for that, they don't know exactly if they are eligible or no. They just submit the proposal. So that's why acceptance rate is not very high. But if the key here is if you contact the coordinator and get the information and introduce yourself, that the chance of acceptance is very high in that case.
And are these fundings just for example, one company, or they divide these fundings among different companies?
They divided, yeah, they like when they mentioned, for example, a program is the clean growth program, they launch it for 100 million, so they can support like 50 companies or 100 companies, you know. So it's a grant that each program has a limit on budget. So some of them, if you go through the website, you'll see that they mentioned, yes, deadline is this time, but like we can continue. Like if by that time we haven't received enough proposal, we can continue receiving proposal until the budget is finished.
Yeah, I see. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Excuse me if I ask a question. I went to the page of IRAP, and it shows we have archived this page and will not be updating it. Do you know what does it mean? It means that they don't support IRAP anymore, or?
Yeah, they support IRAM, but I think they transfer it to another website. I haven't go through it. But I can find and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. May I have just comment, Dariush?
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Kazem. You just showed us the way, because we have been very involved with the NSERC, but you found a good opportunity on NRC, by the way. But the way to go ahead, I think, or to expedite the process of cooperation among all this expertise that at least now today, dozens of them are gathering. I hope that in future we could actually absorb the others also to come. However, you see that there are the different multiple expertises among all of these colleagues now right away, we see. So I think if you could let us give you some keywords or expertise so that we can find some of the common expertise on together, say data analysis, or perhaps, I don't know, control, automation, whatever it is. And then if we ask from Kazem, again, for next time, if he can find those opportunities that are open, and also in spite of they are open, have they enough money to invest? I mean, it depends on the budget that they have. So it also shows our opportunity, our chance to propose and have an opportunity of having a project and to have a collaboration. The other thing is this, we have to show our potentials. Some of our colleagues here, they have their own company. So they might have some hardware or software or some assets that they can share. If we can collaborate under an umbrella that, say, for example, if you want to have some sort of cooperation altogether, or if this program accepts any individual to be involved, say one of the companies would be candidates and go ahead. As Kazem mentioned, there are plenty of headaches for the taxes, all this stuff. I think the steps that I just summarized that is this. First of all, we show our expertise, our interest, field of interests. And then, dear Kazem, again, if he can give us the details of which fields are still open. Say, I'm very interested on the oil and gas project, but I saw right away that perhaps this year or next year, it will not be open. So we can neglect them, we can ignore them. And then we go through all those opportunities who are open. So next time, if Kazem could open for us those opportunities and could show us those opportunities, then we can prioritize our sort of collaboration with altogether through the, those opportunities that are available in the NRC. And also, as I told you, some of our colleagues here are from the company, from their own company, so they can also tell us how they can share their hardware, software, or whatever is as their assets. The other thing is this: some of the, some of these agencies, such as NRC, they have the consulting agency. Even they can give us free consultation and to guide us actually how to apply for the application form, whatever it is. So I hope next time we can have a very bright picture of how to set up such a good and a positive cooperation with each other. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Dr. Mosher, do you mean that is it possible to put some keywords in the website, for example, put the keyword in energy saving, and then this website suggests that some funding, some right fundings? Do you mean that there's this functionality in the websites?
In the website or what? The NRC or our own website?
Oh, anything. Yeah.
What I emphasized was this, that any of us have expertise on the data analysis, application of artificial intelligences. They are very good at hot topics, by the way. So if we can have a table by next time, we can send you our field of interest. I remember if you remember also, we had a group of expertises, the Iranian professional one, and then we had categorized of the expertise, mechanical, electrical, industrial one, chemical engineering. But now with this number of the people, thousands of the professors and researchers that are available here, I think if we can right away give you some keywords of our expertise, not too much, at least 5, for example, or at most I say 5 keywords on those expertise, so that we could see some sort of aggregation of this expertise and can actually show a potentials for defining a project. But Kazem could give us the priorities of the project that they have. Then we can invest our time and energy to define those projects. That's why I mentioned about the keywords as well as the potentials of the private sectors who are available here. I mean, from point of academic as well as the private sectors, I see the people are available here. We can give you some of those keywords later on. Yeah.
So we need to prepare a database of our expertise we have in this thing, and then extract the keywords from this expertise and ask Kazem or other friends to find out the required or the relevant fundings for this special project. Well, thank you. That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other idea or comments?
Thank you, Dr. Kazem. I think it's very important because this shows that what is the first step for the most startups to be established, and always the first step is the most difficult step, and it shows that how the people can start. But as you mentioned, Dr. Mashiri, and also you, Dr. Mortazavi, mentioned, everybody, I believe that we can, in our field, we can just look at the website and figure out what area can be more attractive for NRC. And then based on that, if the people here have some idea, and then we can have some cooperation with each other to figure out how we can just prepare some successful proposal for them to be able to get some funds and start some businesses. But yeah, thank you, Dr. Shahidi, for this presentation.
No problem. I also send this the presentation here in the chat box, and I see. Let me know if you can open the file. And I see there is one question: how do you integrate 3D printing in reduction of emission? That's a little bit tricky because, for example, one of the projects that we run was that I remember. They develop a technique for 3D printing for the membranes. That membrane, the product, can be used for CO2 capture, for example. So then you can integrate 3D printing to the CO2 capture with a binder, which is the membrane in between. So if you can do the 3D printing on a membrane and then the membrane used in the CO2 capture, then you can submit a proposal for a reduction of emission for a 3D printing. You understand? Mr. Muhammad?
Yes, Dr. Kazim.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so if you produce a product which will be used in like a CO2 reduction, then yes, that's possibility to submit a proposal.
Oh, I understand. Thanks for the nice presentation.
Can you guys open the file?
Yes,
I just opened it. Thanks very much, Kazim.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yes, I did.
Okay.
May I ask a question from the group? What I understood today, because it's my first time here, I think there was another meeting maybe 2 weeks ago. What I understand about the way this group is going is that it's gonna get some projects from the government and get some fundings and grants. But at the beginning of this meeting, you were saying that these are going to lead to some startups. I cannot understand how these grants can lead to startups. So how can we just do a project for the government and then establish a startup? I think this is a bit contradictory.
Anybody wants to answer this question?
I think before before you start the startup, you have an idea, and to test your idea, you may need a prototype to test the idea, or you may need a platform to test the idea. For that testing, I mean prototype or the platform or any other, you may
mean MVP, generally MVP. Generally, we need an MVP for having a startup.
Exactly. For that one, you need a fund to provide and prove. So then there are some fundings through these programs that the government help you to develop your idea and see your idea is working or no.
I think there is a
Can I mention something? Sorry.
Yes,
sure.
Yeah, when you have an idea, you have to do some feasibility and try to bring the idea to the market. And the steps is that you have to do a market research, and then create a corporation, and after that create the structure of the startup company, like legal and accounting way that you want to run the startup. When your startup has been set up, then you need the money. You need to do funding. Maybe the first step is your pocket. The first step, your family and your friends support you, and after that, you need more money. Maybe the funding, like SIRE is the way that you can collect the money and get funding from government to bring the MVP, your MVPs to the market and try it as a product, you know, and then you do a market research and go through the market.
You know, as I understand and what I know about startups, the startups should be very agile. So they need to do the market research very fast. They need to have the idea and to provide the MVP very fast, and to be very agile when they are working. But I think, and you know, the idea is very important. Now I think we do not have idea. We are going, we just search for ideas in the government website to see if maybe there is a project that can be funded, so that later we can establish a startup based on that. But I think first we need to have an idea, we need to have a team, you know, a startup needs to have a team. And as Kazem said, that we need to actually validate our MVP. Yes, this is very important, especially if we are going to prototype something. But for validating that, if it is only a tech startup, we need this kind of research or R&D or something. But initially, we can start a startup like now, you know. So why should we go through those research and, you know, projects and fundings? You have seed, pre-seed, you can get funds from other resources. So this is my question that I cannot understand.
Yeah, you are saying right. The step that you mentioned is that the step I mentioned too, you know, is right. But when you want to go a further step, after collecting money from the family, friends, and your pocket, it you have to get a bigger market, you know.
But we haven't established the first step yet.
Yeah, you have a startup, you established, you have a company, but as you said, it's very, very fragile, you know. You have to go through the market, and you need, if you're selling, for example, 1,000 this year, and next year you have to sell 100,000, you need more money to invest, you know. And this step, you need maybe to go to the angels, or maybe to go to the government help, you know, and then they help you. Yeah, you're right.
But I think the first step hasn't been started yet.
No, I mean, no. We are just going through doing some brainstorms, you know. It's a kind of brainstorm to find the best way to go through it, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there was a confusion for Masood. The government doesn't give us any projects, so we have to define the projects. The government will give us the grant. So depending on the project, if the government thinks that it's worth for them. If you want to start a startup and you don't have money the other way, which was used to work, but I don't think it's working now, was to apply for SIRE grants. So if you have a company 2 years established, you have 2 employees, you can apply for SIRE grant. In SIRE grant, you can, so upon starting the project, you can grant from the government. You don't have to wait until the project and the prototype is done and then apply for the grants. But actually, it's not written formally in the SIRE documents that you need to have any revenue. So it used to be given to any startup, but at the moment, so actually it's not given to a startup, unfortunately. It's given to businesses which have a background before. So you need to have a revenue before. In anything, it doesn't matter. So it is, maybe it's not in research, so but if you have any business which is working at the moment and you have had any revenue last year, you can apply for that answer. It's not important to have worked on any research project before.
So thank you again. Now maybe I understood something better, but yes, thank you.
I want to thank Dr. Kazem for the pitch. I also have a question. It's like I have an active project and I'm thinking if it is eligible for any kind of fund. So just before asking a counselor for applying the fund, do you mind if I be in contact with you and send you the idea, and then you know, after the meeting, how can I contact you? Are you active in LinkedIn, or do you give me any
already
contact
have
number?
created, Dr. Raza, we have already created a WhatsApp group, and Dr.
Okay.
And you are there.
Is there?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
We can discuss.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you can find the contact information for in the WhatsApp group. Yes, as Dr. Dariush said. Yeah, there is a phone number. So the difference between Telegram and WhatsApp is that in WhatsApp you can see the phone number of the members. In Telegram you can't. And I think that Dr. Mashri gave us a very good hint and suggestion. If everybody wants to work on any ideas, just list the keywords of your idea and your projects you want to work on them. So we will share these keywords in our group, in WhatsApp group, or into email, and then so we can help us to find the right grant for that keyword. Just one information for Masood questions. That's why the reason that I start in the beginning, that's why I said this presentation is as I specified it for the government and Canada and this, because the other categories you mentioned is sometimes you find a lot of opportunities in non-governmental, and even you may find a lot of opportunities even in for example, if you go to government and then other than NSERC or NRC, there are other agencies in the government that they fund the startups, for example, for computer science. So if you go through that website, the agencies, you may find some other agencies and department in Canadian government that they provide startups, like as I said, angels or incubators or the other stuff, but governmental.
Yeah.
And
yes, please go ahead.
And you can find a lot of non-governmental, like for example, the investment firm that I'm working for is a non-governmental investment. They also, like even non-governmental investors, they also apply for governmental fund. For example, when an angel investor come to a meeting, they have a team, like they have some teams like us, that when they fund a startup, they already apply the grants for that. So they come to a meeting, find the idea, and they actually provide funding for you, but they already have a team to apply for the fund through the government. So it's not only their pocket, it's government plus their pocket. Yes.
So as far as I understand, please let me know if my perception is correct or not. I understood that the Canadian government is giving some grants for the teams which are going to be empowered, whether they are a startup or established company or not. Am I right? And then this empowerment, this empowering will let them to have some results, and afterwards they can have their business, a small business startup or something. But how the government is going to analyze them if the result was okay or not is, I think it's not very strict. Am I right? Because these are grants, and maybe the teams. Am I right?
Sometimes they don't need even evaluate your result. Some kind of grant, it is not the result based. So they don't go through the details of what are you doing and what you did, and what's the result. As my mind is, the startup is a structure that you build based on an idea, and you know that the special market, the niche wants this idea. Then based on this, you establish a startup and then go through the research and development section. And at this research and development section, you try to collect some money. And one kind of money should be from government as a grant, and or maybe other kind of grant,
Now I fully understand. So these are the grants for those teams. Generally, we say team because maybe they are a startup or not. For the teams which are going to have some R&D, and then they have some products based on that in a company or a startup. So I think now I have a better understanding about this. Thank you.
As Bahman highlighted, as Bahman highlighted, these sessions still we are in the brainstorming, and one by one we can clarify the path that we have to go ahead. That's very interesting. Thanks very much.
Excuse me, Dr. Kazem, may I ask a request, please?
Yes, please.
Excuse me, I think it would be great if you can categorize the applicable grant based on the deadline, because I think it's a long-term conversation, and if we would like to understand deeply about each grant, it takes a long time, and in this case, we may miss the deadline. So it would be great if you talk about that based on the the closest deadline, so people can apply for that if they can based on their project.
The only programs that they have a deadline is the active programs that they mentioned. They have the program. There is no deadline for like non-active programs. There is no deadline for partnerships. There is no deadline for the labs like CanMet or others. The only programs that they mention active for call, they have the deadline, which is 1A in the file.
Yeah, excellent. And one more thing, for specific kind of grants, it is necessary that actually big organizations such as university or colleges or some other big teams should be involved in the project, okay? In this case, I think it is not feasible and realistic for our group. So it will be great if, for example, we talk about the most, the realistic plan. So, if we can focus on the grant, which is applicable for us based on our, abilities and availabilities also that. So I appreciate if you, actually it is my idea. I don't know, Dariush and some others also should be agree that with this case, but I think it would be great if we can focus on some things that is related to our opportunities.
Yeah, that's exactly true. It really depends on the area that you are working. For example, if that area is like is more related to green technologies, very easy to get funding nowadays. but it's that's relating to like some, let's say, app development, very hard to get fundings from government.
That's it, exactly. Yeah,
So
exactly.
you
That's
should go
why.
exactly, you should go to non-governmental.
Exactly. For example, for the grant, which is very high competitive, you know, it's actually wasting time because I think it would be very focused on some kind of grants, which is which has higher chance to be successful. So in point of my views, I think it would be better we work through this sort of grants.
Yeah, and nowadays they recently, because the government, the people who are reviewing the proposals, they are smart guys, you know. If you try to flip your proposal in a way that you are, for example, if you are developing an app and you flip the idea in a way that you are do it for the green technology, they will understand and they reject it right away, you know. So the idea should be really related to the topic to get the fund, you know. The fund stream. But the key here is, as I mentioned in the presentation, is that there are lots of hidden fund programs which not mentioned in the website, and they already have a budget for that you can apply by contacting them. You know, that's a key. That's a very important. You won't find like the eligibility deadline, how to apply this kind of information for that specific budget, but you need to contact them to get those information, and that is the very important. Even maybe sometimes like some other agencies like Agri-Food Canada, you can develop a software for Agri-Food, and because they have a lot of budget and not too many ideas come to them, then they maybe, if you relate your app development idea to Agri-Food, like for example, if you develop a software or an application for quality control of the food industry, there's a high chance for you to get the funding from Agri-Food Canada. You know what I mean? So they still provide funding for the app application, even it is not interested for the government, because there is less number of proposals sending to them. You know, so that's why it's a little bit gray area. There is no exactly yes or no, or we cannot put a table, say, okay, these are topics, for example, and these are the ideas. Like it's a gray area, like as Dr. Mushiri mentioned, like case by case should be considered and think about it in a different way, you know.
And thank you for your explanation. However, I confused about some important point. You explained that we can contact with them directly. Do you mean that, for example, we can provide a proposal, and if the proposal was not categorized based on the provided grants, the website, we can send directly to that organization and SIRE? How we can apply for that? How we can be in touch directly?
Okay, so first of all, you should not send your proposal or your idea directly to an agency or any other third parties unless you have NDA with them. Secondly, for connecting to the NRC officers or coordinators, if it mentioned, if you want directly to contact, if there is a program there, they will provide the contact information for that specific program. If you can't find the specific program in the website, but you find some other information, for example, they mentioned there is a field of interest or field of research somewhere, then you can find which center is working in there, as I mentioned, the lab and centers, and send to the lab administrator, and then that administrator forward your request to that specific agent officer.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, Dariush. Now in Tehran, we are near 12:20 at night, midnight. But I suggest for next time we can start a bit earlier, say half an hour if you like.
Okay, sure.
Because it's very absorbing topic. Everybody would like it, seeking, asking questions. It's very nice to go ahead. But yeah, tomorrow also I have a lecture. Great.
Yeah, we can start.
Hopefully by mid-September, when I return back, I will be for 1 year in actually Canada, in Waterloo and Toronto. So we have enough time. Even by that time, the pandemic will be finished and everything will be much easier to collaborate and communicate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks very much in discussion. That was very good, Dr. Shahidi. Thanks.
Today's discussion was very interesting and informative. That's why it took so long time. So the next meeting, so I think we can have the next one on May 23rd, 3 weeks later. And if you agree, we can start at 1 o'clock. So to be able to provide a better timing for our friends in Iran.
So what we do, we write our expertises, our fields of interest on the WhatsApp. And then if you or one of the colleagues could make a table, and for the next time we would have a table to show the potentials, and then with the assistance of Kazem, we can go through the websites.
Yeah, if anybody can become volunteer to collect this information, it would be highly appreciated.
Oh,
Thank you,
Masood,
Masood.
kindly, thanks very much, Masood. Appreciate it.
So could you please just prepare an Excel sheet or something like that and post it in the WhatsApp group?
Definitely, of course. After sleeping, because as Dr. Moshiri said, it's midnight today. Now,
yeah,
so
you need to rest.
Masood,
keep going, yeah.
So you Masood are in Tehran then. Okay.
Yeah. Or the Excel sheet could be in Google Documents. So it would be easier if you prepare it in Google Documents. Everybody can go there, fill it, and then we all can see any changes.
Sure, I will do it tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Good.
Thanks very much indeed from everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day and night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Dariush, can you get the photo from this session?
Yeah, I already did. Yes.
Oh, you did it? Great.
Yeah, I already did. I
WhatsApp.
will post it in the LinkedIn. Yeah.
You are
And
very
if you don't mind, I will post this video in the YouTube and share the link with you.
That's great. That's
Or
great.
in
Just give
LinkedIn.
us the link in the WhatsApp then, and the photos in WhatsApp as well.
Okay, sure.
Thanks a lot. You are a cameraman all the time. You're on the spot. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.